Hi, welcome to the Big Little Podcast, Season 1, Episode 5. Today we are going to talk about A-Liner. A-Liner is near and dear to my heart. They were the second camper line that we brought into our dealership. We started with the little guy teardrop line and didn't take long to realize with the teardrop, they are more of a novelty than a mainstay. Don't get me wrong, I have two antique teardrops and have camped in them, but there is a certain special person for a teardrop. A-Liner coming in my second line. I've been there now through 3 different ownership changes. We'll start with the original family, the Tate family. There was Mark and Dave, and they did a nice job. They were a nice little family company. And then it was bought out by what I will call the Collins Group, and they actually improved it quite a bit. And I will talk about that as we get into the different models A-Liner has done over the years. And the current owner group now is much more business and commercial oriented, but nothing against the Collins Group or the Tates, because I've got some great memories with those two. With A-Liner, you have 3 different sizes, and they do it by box size. They have a 10, a 12, and a 15. And in the box size, you have different levels. They've always maintained that Toyota kind of strategy where you have a Kerola, you have a Camry, and then you have a Lexus. And the A-Liner line, the entry level was a Scout, and for what it was built for, I think it makes a lot of sense. A Scout is designed for folks going from a tent into a trailer that already have their gear. Why is that important? Well, that allows them not to put in a water system, not to put in a propane system, but you can get a couple options with it, including an air conditioner and a high wind lift kit. From the Scout, the middle model is a Ranger, and that is what we have here behind us. When you go from the Scout to the Ranger, then you start having a propane system, you have a fresh water system, you have a refrigerator, and they switched over to a 12 volt. And honestly, when the 12 volt came out, I was a little split with them. But now that they're here and they've dialed them in, I have become a fan for a couple reasons. One, you can power up one of those and get it cold within 3 to 4 hours compared to your conventional 24 hours with a propane or electric one. So you have that going on. If you are running it in the refrigerator mode, then you can easily get good 20 plus hours out of it running it off the battery. If you have it in the freezer mode, not so much. So when we go from the Scout to the Ranger, and the Classic is what they call their Cadillac. The Classic is the first size that you can get an innerspring mattress. Obviously by now you're coming to know us as a small camper specialist, and to me an innerspring mattress is icing on the cake. I prefer not to drop a dinette into a bed every day. Most campers I've had that had a dinette / bed, I would turn into a bed and leave as a bed. It's just the way I'm wired. When you get into the Classic now, you have a bigger refrigerator, you have an indoor-outdoor stove, you are adding a microwave. There is a lot of increases to it, including additional windows. The Classic is just a comfortable camper. Now let's go up to the 15 box for a couple minutes. The 15-foot box is the Expedition. I have an Expedition myself. This is my second A-Liner. I have always felt the Expedition is a missing link between a small and a big camper. And it's backing up for just a moment. The lightweights on the A-Liner are from 1,100 to 2,300 pounds. So even the largest A-Liner is 3,500 pound tow vehicle friendly. It also has a cassette toilet in, and I'll talk about that for just a minute, and then we'll talk about which models have both toilets and which have toilets and showers. A-Liner uses a cassette toilet. I've come to really like it. Why? Because you can pull it out from the outside take it into any toilet or restroom and dump it and flush it. So from that angle, very easy to use, and you don't have to be hooked up to a RV campground. So I like it from that angle. What is the drawback? Well, the drawback is with your conventional black water holding tank, you normally get about 20 gallons of waste holding. With the A-liner cassette, you only get about 3 or 4 gallons. It's surprising how quick 3 or 4 gallons will fill up as well. So with the bigger one, I like the size. It's roomy. The thing is just roomy. And in the Expedition, they offer a family model, and they offer one that has a inner spring mattress or a sofa in the back. And I believe they're all standard with the toilet. So now we've talked a little bit about the box sizes from a 10 to a 12 to a 15. Now let me talk a little bit about the options. My Expedition doesn't have dormers. The Ranger behind me does not have dormers. Dormers are an option. You can get both soft dormers or you can get hard dormers, and about the only other option from the dormers is going to be an off-road axle. They call it an off-road package. Unless you are doing some severe off-roading, it really isn't a necessity. If you do a lot of boondocking, a lot off the grid, it is a nice touch, as most manufacturers seem to offer both. Just like a solar panel, it is my thought with an off-road axle. Unless you have a use for it, it really doesn't make sense to spend money. Most of the models that we carry at our dealership, all are double dormers when you're talking the Classic and you're talking the Expedition. The Scout and Ranger we keep down to non-dormers for a price point. Dormers add about $1,000 a dormer. There are some forced dormers, and let's go back to talking about the toilet and the showers. When you're looking at the 10-foot, 12-foot, and 15-foot box size, there's always a place to put a toilet, but as far as a mounted toilet, to me that's a toilet. There are 2 models, actually 3 or 4, let me rephrase that. In the 12-foot box, there's only one model to give you a mounted one, and that is going to be your LXE. The LXE is going to have a front cassette toilet, and it's also going to have a shower. That has a forced option of a front dormer because you need that room. If you walk in the door, to the right is the toilet and the shower, to the left is the kitchen. In the back is a sofa that's also set up as a dinette. So when it's in a sofa position, you actually have a dinette table, then you can break it down into the bed. So for a 12-foot box on an A-liner, you can get a shower and a toilet. Now as we get into the Expedition does have the mounted cassette toilet, which again I am a fan of, but to get a shower you have to go into their new model, which is the Evolution. The Evolution is the latest, greatest of what they're producing. They are using aluminum framed cabinets. They're using boat board for the furniture on the inside, and they're using a commercial high-grade flooring on it. There's a lot they're doing tremendously right with it, including 35-gallon fresh water from 11. It does have a shower that is built into the floor in the front, and it is a neat setup. The compartment lifts up, you put a curtain around you, and then you have a shower in the front. The other thing they did tremendously right with it is it has 2 queen-size beds. Up to this point, A-Liner has always touted a 3 to 4 person camper. I've always disputed it because the front bedside is only a 46 and in some cases smaller. But with 2 queens, a queen in the front and a queen in the back, you can truly now sleep 4 people comfortably. Now the exception to that would be the Expedition family model, which that can sleep 4 as well. The conventional Expedition, the Classic, the Ranger, only a 3-person camper in my opinion. The other thing I like about it is they do have a solar panel on the Evolution. The Evolution is a 12 and a 15-foot box. I'm speaking strictly about the 15-foot box. The 12 does not have the shower in and does not offer you 2 queen-size beds. What is a big drawback? The MSRP on the 15 Evolution is at $50,000. I just get very hesitant because we always try to balance price with value. Here you'll find most of our campers can be from the mid-15s to the mid-20s, and we do have a couple that are a little more expensive, and I'm talking good quality camper brands. Starcraft, Gulfstream, just solid manufacturers. Sunset Park RV. There are a lot more options out there now than there ever have been for your lighter tow weight vehicles. If you come down to 1,500 pounds, you've got 2 options and they're both A-liners. The Scout Light's at 1,200 pounds and the Scout 12-foot box is right around 1,400. So that is tight, but in my mind doable, and you get so much more. The other improvement from A-liner is they have gone to computer-assisted cutting for all their sidewalls and their roof panels. And they did that a couple years ago, and that was a tremendous improvement. They have a CNC machine for the sidewalls and for the cabinetry. The new ownership group has also uplifted the inside of it. The plant itself has had a facelift, neatly painted. Instead of line production now, they're kind of doing it in a U, so it does seem much more efficient this way. Now let me bounce around a little bit to talk about a couple other things. A-liner is an innovator in the A-frame, and they've been building them since 1984. They have also over the years done several other models which have been a conventional travel trailer. One of the ones they used to do was called a Cabin A, and it made sense. It was a nice little camper. From the Cabin A, which was available in 3 models, electric, a mid-range, and a higher end, then the Collins group came in and they did a line of small trailers. They had 3 different names for them. They really overthought the names, but they really developed a nice little trailer. They had the Amelia, they had the Marco, and the third one just slips my mind. They also produced what was called a Retreat, which was a real neat looking trailer. It was about 24 foot long, folded up into the A-frame. They did have issues with it, and it never really made it into a production unit. They have over the years done a teardrop called a Little Demon. They did an A-Light 400. They did a camper truck trailer that was kind of neat. So they have really done a lot to not only keep the A-liners going and improve, but to add another option. They're currently now making what's called an Escape. The Escape now is coming in 2 or 3 models. It is a wider one. When they first released the Escape pre-COVID, they had a narrow body and they had a wide body, and the narrow just did not make sense. The wide body does. So if you have a tolerance for small stuff, really small stuff, then I'd encourage you to go ahead and look at the Escape. The other thing that I do want to talk a little bit about while we're here is why. Why does it make such a good option to go with an A-liner? It's a Pennsylvania-made product, so it's nice that they aren't in the hub of the Indiana building. They all are a smaller company, which makes it easier to deal with them and get to know them. They've got a great owner group. They go around the country together. And why do I like my A-liner so much? When you fold it to pull it, it is extremely easy. Prior to my Expedition, I had a Classic. That Classic only weighed about 1,400 pounds. It was wonderful. You barely knew you had it on behind you. With the Expedition, it is also a freakishly easier pull. When you're pulling an A-liner, my actual world experience is you're going to lose about 4 to 6 miles per gallon off your normal car mileage. When you pull a stand-up trailer, I don't care if the thing looks like a dart, you're going to lose closer to 8 to 10 miles per gallon off your normal car mileage. The exception to that is a truck. A truck you'll lose less, but with a truck you're getting less mileage to start with. So it does become a trade-off. So if you were, and we always listen, how are you going to use your camper? Are you going to use your camper on weekends? Are you going to use it for 2 or 3 weeks at a time? Are you going to use it seasonably? If you're going to use it seasonally, then I wouldn't recommend an A-liner unless you had to for towing weight. The reason is when you go seasonally, for us snowbirds, when you go down south, whether it's out west or Florida, you are going to be in that camper for a 2 or 3 month stay. I need a little more leg room than that. I could handle a 2 or 3 month stay in an A-liner. My wife could not. So you have to factor that in too. So if you plan on doing a lot of traveling, you will get some of your money back from the mileage that you're going to get in the A-liner versus you would get in a conventional. What are the trade-offs? They're nice. You don't have the old pulley system, the old canvas pop-offs, which A-liner did do for a while, a summer set. When you set one of those up, you've got 15 to 20 minutes in setup time, if you're good and if you're lucky. With an A-liner set up, it really is about less than a minute, and I will demonstrate that for you here. The drawbacks to going to the Evolution, their newest high-tech trailer, there are two. One is that it has 15-inch tires, so with an Evolution, when you put it up, you're either going to have to be tall or need a stool. The other thing with the Evolution, you have a 185-watt solar system, which is great, except to me a solar system to function, you have to have the panel, the controller, and an inverter. You miss any of those 2-3 things, then all you have is a glorified battery charger. So I would like to see improvements going forward, putting a converter on there as well to give you that inversion from 12 volt to 110 makes a lot of sense. And the other thing I personally would like to see would be a little more aggressive price point on it. And again, that's just me. I hate to see units that have need a lot of money out of your pocket. There is value to the dollar. So what I would like to leave you with as I put this up and down is A-liner is a good choice. It doesn't fit everybody's need, but it can fit a whole lot of them. My personal recommendation would be the Expedition with a mattress in the back. And if you can be without the dormers, that would save you a couple $1,000s on the price. Hi, we talked a little bit about stepping away to do an up and down with an A-liner. I'm going to do it here with this Ranger, and it literally does take less than a minute. I'm going to put it down and back up again. First thing, you want to open the door, and I like to call this the Mr. Ed door. You want to separate the Mr. Ed door. There are 4 latches on the inside, and you'll also want to make sure all the mattresses and tables are down as well. Well, since we're not going to be moving it, I'm going to leave the table up. 1 latch, 2 latch. We're going to walk it down. It is extremely light. And we are also going to walk this panel down. The roof is bungeed together. So when you pull one side, the other is going to follow. And it is literally that easy. Now, of course, we would latch the latch on the other side, which take another 5 seconds, but let me put it back up to show you how quick it is. Beside the bungees on the top, there is a helper spring in all 4 corners. You're going to see it want to start to go up on its own. All you have to do is take the bottom panel. It clicks in place. We're going to go back into Mr. Ed door. Actually, maybe I should call it a Mr. Ned door. And that is how quick this will go down and up. Very, very easy. Latch the Mr. Ned door again, and you are ready to camp. So if you get in a position where it's raining, it's still an easy in and out. So come on down, see what we have to offer, and we'd be happy to discuss the new small campers on the market and what is right for you. Happy camping, and we'll see you in episode 6.